3 months ago, at my younger sister's wedding, my father stood in front of almost 200 guests and announced that I was giving her the house my grandmother left me. Not a small house, not an old family cottage, a $2.8 million harbor view townhouse in Charleston. The last beautiful thing my grandmother ever owned, the last thing she trusted to me. I had already said no many times, but my father smiled into the microphone like my answer did not matter. He told everyone I had decided to do the right thing and give the deed to my sister Brielle as a wedding gift. The room exploded with applause. Brielle covered her mouth and cried like she had just received a blessing. My mother wiped her eyes, and I sat there, heart pounding, realizing they had not invited me to a wedding. They had invited me to a public trap. My name is Mara Ellison. I was 38 when it happened. My sister Brielle was 29, newly married, beautiful, spoiled, and used to everyone making her life easier. My father, Conrad, had spent my whole life making me feel like love had to be earned. My mother, Lorna, never stopped him. She only protected the family image. If Brielle cried, everyone rushed to comfort her. If I was hurt, everyone told me I was strong. And being strong in my family meant nobody came to help you. My grandmother, Odette, was different. She saw me. She saw every missed birthday, every quiet insult, every time my parents chose Brielle and expected me to smile. During the last 4 years of her life, I drove to her townhouse every weekend. I brought soup, medicine, clean laundry, and peach tea. We sat on her balcony and watched the harbor lights come on. She used to hold my hand and say, "Mara, never let people turn your kindness into a leash." When Grandma died, her will was read in her attorney's office. Her attorney, Vera Kingsley, was a sharp, silver-haired woman who had been Grandma's friend for 30 years. She read the trust slowly. The townhouse on Calhoun Row was left to me, Mara Ellison, and me alone. No shared ownership, no family vote, no condition that I had to be fair. My father's face hardened. My mother stared at the floor. Brielle looked at me like I had stolen something from her. Nobody said congratulations. Nobody said Grandma would be proud. In the parking lot, I heard my father whisper to my mother, "Don't worry, Mara always gives in when the pressure gets heavy." I pretended I did not hear it, but those words stayed in my chest. The pressure started 2 weeks later. My mother called first, using her soft voice. She said Brielle and Nolan needed a real start in life. She said Grandma would have wanted her home filled with young love. I said Grandma had made her choice in writing. Then Brielle called and said the townhouse would be perfect for her future children. I offered money instead. I offered $35,000 toward another home. I offered to pay for their honeymoon. I even offered to help with wedding costs. But they did not want help. They wanted the house. Then my father called. No sweetness, no tears, just command. "Family comes before property," he said. I told him Grandma's wishes came before his wants. His voice went cold. "Be careful, Mara. People are starting to see who you really are." After that, relatives started texting me. Selfish, greedy, bitter. One aunt even wrote, "Your grandmother would be ashamed." That one hurt because Grandma was the only person who had never been ashamed of me. 2 weeks before the wedding, my great-aunt Willa called. She was 81 and did not waste words. "Your father is planning something at that wedding," she said. "Keep your purse close, and if Vera calls, answer." That night, I searched Grandma's old desk and found a cream envelope with my name on it. Inside were bank slips, handwritten notes, and records showing my father had borrowed $143,000 from Grandma over 14 years and never paid $1 back. At the bottom, Grandma had written, "Conrad asked again to move the townhouse into his control?" I told Vera, no, the house is Mara's. If he tries to shame her, show them why. My hands shook as I folded that paper and put it in my purse. If you are still listening, hit like. Because this was the moment I should have known the wedding was not going to be peaceful. The wedding was held at Rose Hall Country Club. White roses, gold chairs, crystal glasses, soft music, and almost 200 people dressed like they were watching a perfect family begin a perfect life. I wore a navy dress because my mother told me not to wear anything dramatic. The second I walked in, conversations dropped. People looked at me, then looked away. I knew my father had already told his version. In his story, I was the jealous older sister hoarding a house from a bride. During cocktail hour, he came close to me and smiled for the guests, but his voice was low. "Tonight, you fix this." I asked what he meant. He said, "I already told people you're giving Brielle the townhouse during my toast." My stomach turned cold. I said, "Then you lied." He leaned closer and said, "No, I gave you a chance to become decent in public." After dinner, my father took the microphone. He praised Brielle like she was an angel in satin. He talked about her childhood, her kindness, her bright future. He did not mention me once. Then his voice softened. "Our family believes in sacrifice," he said. "Tonight, my eldest daughter, Vera, has chosen to give Brielle and Nolan the greatest wedding gift any sister could give, my mother's Calhoun Row townhouse." The applause was instant. Brielle began crying. My mother pressed a napkin to her mouth. I stood up so fast my chair scraped the floor. "That is not true," I said. The room went silent. My father laughed into the microphone. "Mara has strange timing." I did not sit down. "I never agreed to give away my grandmother's house. My father announced that without my consent." My mother stood up crying. "Why would you ruin your sister's wedding?" she shouted. Brielle looked at me with red eyes and said, "You do not even need that house. You are alone. I have a husband now. I am building a family." That sentence cut deeper than I expected. My father put down the microphone and walked toward me. He grabbed my wrist hard enough to hurt and pulled me away from the table. Everyone watched. "You are going to stand beside your sister," he whispered, "and you are going to say yes." I said no. He called me selfish. I said, "Grandma knew who showed up for her. That is why she chose me." His face twisted. Then his hand came up. The slap cracked through the ballroom. My head snapped sideways. My lips split against my tooth, and I tasted blood. One of my earrings flew off and rolled under the table. For a few seconds, nobody moved. Not my mother, not Brielle, not Nolan, not one guest. Almost 200 adults sat there and watched my father hit me because I would not give away a house. I touched my lip and saw blood on my fingers. Something inside me became very still. I looked at him and said, "Grandma was right about you." Then I picked up my purse and walked out. If you have ever had to walk away from people you loved because they kept hurting you, comment, I would walk out. Outside, the night air hit my face. I was halfway down the stone steps when a black SUV pulled up. The back door opened, and Vera Kingsley stepped out in a black suit, holding a leather document case. She looked at my bleeding mouth, then toward the ballroom. Her eyes turned cold. "Did he do that?" she asked. I nodded. Vera touched my shoulder and said, "Then we are done being polite." She walked past me into the ballroom like she was entering court. Every voice died when Vera reached the center of the room. My father's face turned gray. He knew her well. He had called her office several times before Grandma died, trying to change the trust. Vera placed her case on a table and said, "Since Mr. Ellison made a private legal matter public, I will correct it publicly." My father snapped, "Wade, get out." Vera did not blink. "Your mother prepared for this." Then she told everyone the truth. Grandma had left the townhouse to me legally, clearly and intentionally. My father had asked to move it into his control, and Grandma refused every time. Then Vera revealed the loan records, $143,000 taken from Grandma, not repaid, not gifts, loans, written, dated, and signed in Grandma's own notes. Then Vera opened the cream envelope and played a recording. Grandma's voice filled the ballroom, weak but steady. "If Conrad tries to take the house from Mara, remember this. He does not want fairness. He wants control." Mara came when I called. Mara sat beside me when I was afraid. Mara loved the home because she loved me. The house is hers. Let no one shame her out of what I chose. The room went completely silent. My mother sat down like her knees had failed. Brielle's face turned pale. Nolan stepped away from her and whispered, "You knew about this?" She did not answer. Then one of my father's business friends stood up and said, "Conrad told me he planned to sell that house after the wedding to cover business debt." That was the moment my father's perfect image broke in front of everyone. I walked back inside with blood on my lip and Vera beside me. I did not yell. I did not cry. I said, "I am not giving away my grandmother's house, not to Brielle, not to my father, not to anyone who thinks shame is a legal document." I looked at my mother. "Your tears do not make a lie true." I looked at Brielle. "Your wedding does not make my inheritance yours." Then I looked at my father. "If you ever touch me again, I will call the police. If you ever claim that house again, my attorney will answer you." Nobody clapped. Nobody needed to. Their faces were enough. Shame had finally changed sides. By midnight, my phone had more than 60 messages. Some relatives apologized. Some made excuses. My father called 11 times. I did not answer. My mother texted that I had destroyed the family. I deleted it after the first line. Brielle called 9 days later not to apologize, but to ask if Grandma had really left her $25,000 in a separate savings account. I told her yes. My father had hidden that too because it did not help him take the townhouse. She went quiet. Then she said, "I didn't know he would hit you." I asked, "But you knew he would announce the house?" She said nothing. That silence told me enough. The consequences came without me chasing them. My father lost clients. The church removed him from the finance committee. My mother stopped attending her women's luncheon because people stared. Nolan postponed the honeymoon after learning Brielle had known about the plan. I did not celebrate. I did not post. I did not gossip. I did not need revenge with my hands because the truth had already walked into every room ahead of my father. Now I live in Grandma's townhouse. I kept her balcony chair, her tea set, and the little lamp beside her reading table. But I changed the locks. I painted the kitchen soft blue. I put my own books beside hers. On Sunday evenings, Aunt Willa comes over, and sometimes Vera joins us for tea. We sit where Grandma and I used to sit and watch the harbor lights turn on. My cheek healed. My lip healed. But something deeper changed too. I stopped trying to earn a place in a family that only made room for me when I was giving something up. So here is what I know now. When people call you selfish for protecting what is yours, sometimes they are not describing your character. They are grieving the loss of their access. A boundary is not cruelty. It is a locked door after years of people walking in without knocking. My father thought a wedding, a microphone, and a room full of witnesses would force me to surrender. Instead, he gave the truth an audience. If you were in my place with blood on your lip and everyone watching, would you have stayed silent or would you have walked out? Comment your answer. Commentary, discussion, explanation, and lessons. Now, let's slow down and talk about what really happened in this story, because this was not just about a house. The house was only the object everyone could see. The real fight was about control, respect, and the way one daughter was expected to keep giving until nothing was left of her. Mara was not refusing her sister because she hated her. She was refusing because her grandmother had made a clear choice. That townhouse was not just property. It carried memories, care, weekends, hospital visits, tea on the balcony, and years of love. Her grandmother gave it to the person who showed up when it mattered. But Mara's father tried to turn that gift into guilt. He used a wedding, a microphone, and a room full of people to trap her into saying yes. That is what makes the insult so painful. He did not ask in private. He created pressure in public. He wanted the crowd to shame her into obedience. And when Mara still said no, his mask dropped. The slap showed the truth. It showed that this was never about family unity. It was about power. He could not control her with guilt, so he used fear. But the revenge in this story is not loud or cheap. Mara did not scream. She did not beg. She walked out. And then the truth walked in with Vera, the lawyer. That moment matters because real justice often comes from proof, not emotion. The records, the unpaid loans, and Grandma's recorded message exposed everything. Mara's father lost control because the facts were stronger than his lies. The biggest lesson here is this: when someone calls you selfish for protecting what was legally and lovingly given to you, ask yourself what they were planning to take. A boundary does not make you cruel. It protects you from people who only respect you when you surrender. Another lesson is that silence can hurt. Almost 200 people watched Mara being humiliated and nobody helped. Sometimes people stay quiet because they are shocked, but silence still protects the wrong person. This story reminds us to speak when we see someone being mistreated. In the end, Mara did not just keep the house, she kept her dignity, she kept her grandmother's trust. And most importantly, she stopped chasing love from people who only valued her sacrifice. That is the real victory. The end.